Some people in life are just, they are just, the fan is annoying. Give me 1 second. Yeah, sorry about that. Some people in life are just not strong enough. They are very, very weak and they will amount to nothing. And that is just the truth of the matter. Some people will never achieve anything of greatness, something of value. They will not be moral, they will not be strong, they will be weak. And that's how they will remain for the rest of their life. And there's nothing that they can do about it. And it's sad. It's very sad. And there are reasons as to why I'm saying this. Okay, I'm not saying it to be, like a jackass which says, like, you can't redeem yourself if you do something wrong. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is sometimes it's just too late to redeem yourself. Like, imagine you're 70 years old and you were diagnosed with some kind of cancer and you only have a couple of months to live. And throughout your entire life, you were an asshole. You did everyone wrong and you didn't respect people, you treated people like trash, and you just did everything wrong. You were an immoral person. You were not disciplined, you were not strong, you did absolutely nothing of value with your life. And the doctor now says that you only have 4 months to live. Would you be able to redeem yourself within those 4 months? You probably won't. Like, let's be honest, you will not be able to redeem yourself within those 4 months. Okay, maybe you jump in front of a bullet to save someone. Maybe that could redeem some of your actions. But for most of those people, they would not be able to redeem themselves. Okay, but maybe there is a possibility, because 4 months is a good chunk of time. But imagine if the doctor says you only have 1 day left to live. Would you be able to redeem yourself in 1 day? No, fuck no. Most people would not be able to redeem yourself. And the reason why I bring up this point of redemption and time is because a single day is not enough for someone to drastically change unless something humongous happens to them. So, like, imagine this: you're like laying awake at bed at like 3 in the morning, and you are the type of person that procrastinates. You're not disciplined. You are, in a sense, you're weak-willed. And I'm not saying this to be harsh, by the way. I'm not saying all of this to be harsh. I'm just trying to explain on like a point. So, like, imagine that, like, you're not disciplined, you're weak-willed, and you're like staying awake until 3 in the morning, or you wake up at 3 in the morning, and you kind of realize how miserable you are with your life, and you think to yourself, okay, I'm very miserable, I'll change, and I'll be a better person. Tomorrow, I'm going to be a completely different person. I'm going to wake up early, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to exercise, I'm going to study a lot, I am going to make a lot of money. And you have all of these hopes and dreams and aspirations, and you just, try your best to do all of that. So what happens? Well, what happens is that you fail. You cannot do all of that. You end up failing. Which makes sense, right? Because it's not like it's like the redemption thing. You can't like redeem yourself in 1 day, just like how you can't drastically change in 1 day. Like, it's not possible for most people. And it's not to say that most people are weak, okay? The reason why most people can't do that is not because they're weak, but it's literally because how our brains and biology has evolved. We cannot make that much drastic changes in a single day. Unless something drastic happens to us. Like imagine, let's say all of your loved ones died. Okay, maybe not that. Maybe imagine imagine that you have a younger sister and all of your loved ones died, as in your family died, your parents and your big brothers and sisters, and everyone that would have been able to take care of your sister died, and you are the only one remaining. In that situation, what most people would do is that most people would get off their ass and they would start working, and they would become a completely different person. And the reason why that happens is because, well, so much of things happen to them in such a short period of time. The only thing, that they can realistically do is also change in such a drastic way to match the drastic things that happen to them. It's like it's like the third law of physics, Newton's third law. An equal and opposite reaction would have an equal and opposite force. I butchered that. It's actually, if there's an equal force, that would be like an equal and opposite reaction. It's something like that. I cannot remember, which is a shame because I did physics and I can't remember that, but it's kind of like that. And the reason why I'm bringing all of these points is because too many people are too harsh on themselves these days. They try their best to change so fucking fast. They're like, okay, I have to be, the hare, I have to be the rabbit. Like in the race with the tortoise and rabbit, they're all trying to be the rabbit. They're all trying to change so drastically, so fast. But the thing is, most people can't do that. Most people do not have the necessary power to do that. And it's not because they are weak, it's because they do not have, like, let's say, a drastic enough energy to be able to do something like that. For most people, they have to go slow. And that's just the reality of the matter. And that's what I mean when I say too many people are harsh on themselves. When they try to be fast, when they try to change everything about themselves in a single day, and when they fail, they insult themselves. They try to be way too harsh on themselves. They think that they're stupid. They think that they're weak. When in reality, it's not that they're weak. It's just that they are human beings. And it's a completely normal thing. Like, it's not like humans just came into existence and then they, conquered space and went to the moon in a single day. No, that happened throughout hundreds and thousands of years throughout our evolution. We slowly evolved. Okay, that's how it works. Slow and steady wins the pace. Okay, but sometimes some things might happen to you in your life which are very drastic, which are very extreme, which will force you to change in an extreme way. And the only reason that you are capable of doing those things in those situations is because something else extreme happened to you, which you can use as motivation, to do things that are extreme. But that doesn't happen to most of us on a daily basis. Maybe it might happen to us on, maybe throughout some periods of our life, but not to us on a daily basis. So what most of us can realistically do is that we just have to go at it at a very, very slow pace, or at least a pace that works for us. Going back to the example of when we are awake at 3 a.m. thinking of all the great things that we will do the next day. It's not realistic. It really is not realistic. However, what is realistic is knowing where you are currently at and doing a little bit more than what you did yesterday. Slowly improving. That's what the most realistic thing that you can do is. However, sometimes it's too late to even be able to do that. Going back to the example of redemption, sometimes it's too late to redeem yourself, just like how it is too late to change yourself. Like going back to the example I said before of, all of your family dying, and the only one that you have left is your little sister. And you now have to be, the caretaker for your little sister who's like, a toddler or like a child or something like that. What if you yourself are poor? You are not physically strong or mentally strong to be able to do that. Chances are that kid is not going to have a good upbringing. Like, let's be honest. Sometimes it's too late to change because the damage is already done. I'm not saying it's too late to attempt to change. I'm saying sometimes it's too late to bother to even change in order to minimize the damage, or at least to prevent any damage. Not minimize, prevent any damage. Because in that scenario where everyone dies and the only person who's left to take care of the sister is you, and you are not a strong enough person to do that. Let's say you get angry a lot and perhaps you hit the kid. You are not, rich enough, or at least you're not wealthy enough to send them to a proper school, to afford them clothes. Then you're already doing damage. Like, let's be honest, you are hurting the kid. And the reason why that happened is because when that unexpected thing happened to you, you were not strong enough to deal with that. And that's just life. Sometimes unexpected things happen in which you are not prepared for. So why spend our time? So why do we use our time so willy-nilly and just, wasting our time? Why do we do that when we can do our very best to prepare for the unexpected? So that whenever things like that happen, we can be prepared for it. Or at least we can be somewhat prepared for it, because at least being somewhat prepared is better than being not prepared at all. What I'm getting at is that we have to use our time in the most useful way possible so that we would not leave behind any regrets. And yes, it's very painful. It's extremely painful to be able to do that. However, it's not something that can also be achieved in a single day. It takes a lot of practice and discipline to be able to do that. It takes consistent effort over a long period of time, which means the pain is not something that like the entire pain, like let's say it's from level 1 to level 100 pain. It's not like you take in level 100 of that pain to you within like 1 second. No, it's like you gradually move up levels. That's what I mean when it takes consistent effort over a long period of time. It's not like you go from 1 to 100. No, it's like you go from 1 to 1.2, 1.4, and then you slowly keep on going until you are able to handle that level 100 pain. If that analogy makes sense to you, I hope it does. So yeah, that's what I just wanted to rant about. And if you're watching this video, I just want to let you know that just stop being so harsh on yourself. At least most of you should stop being so harsh on yourself. Because as long as you are trying to become stronger, then I think that's what matters. There's only two types of people in this world: people who have stopped trying and people who are still trying. And as long as you can be the latter, I believe you'd be fine. I believe you'll be able to live a life that's worth living. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and see ya.